to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on, guys? It is TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition, season awards and playoff predictions. With me, as always, is the fine citizen, Mr. Jacob Workman. Jake, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, got all the cuts going on today in the NFL. The Lions, I just read, added Tim Patrick to the practice squad, which is nice. We needed a receiver coming over from Denver, so I like that addition. We kept Hendon Hooker and got rid of Nate Sudfeld. Thank God. I think we had a reference a few weeks ago that I said I could throw better with my asshole than he can with his arm. So I'm very happy to see he's no longer on the team. It's going to be an interesting couple of days here with all the changes and cuts and everything for the NFL. So we are, 9 days away from the Chiefs-Ravens opening night.
Yep, it's going to be a good one. Cowboys are bringing in Dalvin Cook to talk to him. We got CD Lamb signed, so exciting things on the corner on that front. But yeah, we've got one more week here of not picking games. So we're going to jump first into some season awards and try to pick some stuff here based on some betting lines, and then we'll go into our playoff predictions. Should be a pretty quick one here, guys, but let's hop right in. So first pick we have here for you, Jake, is NFL regular season MVP. We've got Patrick Mahomes sitting at plus 450, Josh Allen at plus 800, CJ Stroud at plus 1,000, Burrows also sitting at plus 1,000, Jordan Love at 1,400, and Jalen Hurts at 1,400. You going with one of these guys, or you got somebody off the board?
I'm off the board.
Off the board, starting off. I love it.
Off the board immediately. There's a reason for this. We're going to find out why here in just a little bit. But the Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff at plus 2,500. Give me Goff as the Lions go on their way for a huge season. Give me Goff.
Huge season. Yeah, dropping a little bit of a hint there is what's to come. I think Mahomes is the easy play here, but I'm going to take CJ Stroud sitting at plus 1,000. We'll talk about this in a minute, but I've got the Texans sitting at the 2 seed going into the playoffs. I think Stroud's going to take another step forward this year, and if that happens, he should be in position to take home MVP honors. So I'm taking CJ Stroud. Next up here, we have NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Tyreek Hill sitting at plus 800, Christian McCaffrey at plus 950, CeeDee Lamb at plus 1,100, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are both sitting at plus 1,200, and then we've got the Falcons' Bijan Robinson sitting at plus 1,600. You sticking off the board again? Are we just going straight Lions? Is that what's going to happen? Or
so, man, this is really going to sound like a Homer episode for me, but someone's plus 20,000.
Yeah, I think his name sounds very similar to an Egyptian god. That's what my guess is.
Matthew Stafford is actually who I'm talking about. Okay. I know who you were thinking Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I was thinking Amon-Ra. Yeah.
Matthew Stafford is plus 20,000. That's absurd. I will take those chances with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
Blake Corum. I mean, give me that offense. Give me Stafford at plus 20,000 with Sean McVay.
Yeah, I love the pick. Plus 20,000, especially. That's money all day. I'm taking McCaffrey here at plus 950. Clearly the staple of this offense. It looks like there's a real potential for Ayuk to not be around, which takes away somebody that takes some touches away from McCaffrey. I like Run CMC here for Offensive Player of the Year. Next up here, we've got NFL Defensive Player of the Year, starting off with my boy Micah Parsons at plus 500. Myles Garrett's just behind him at plus 600. TJ Watt plus 750. We have both Max Crosby and Nick Bosa sitting at plus 1,000. And then your boy Aiden Hutchinson is sitting at plus 1,400. We do have a Lions guy on the board. Are you sticking on the board, or are we going off board again?
No, I'm on the board, but it's not the Lions. This one might be a little surprising. I'm taking Max Crosby at plus 1,000. I love the addition of what they've done to the D-line with him. I think he's just going to be an absolute force this year. Team's probably not going to be very good, but I do like him to stand out and maybe even flirt with the sack record.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be on the field a lot, I think, if you look at what this Raiders offense looks like right now. So that's not a bad pick. I'm sticking with my boy Micah. Dan Quinn's defense was a more simple approach compared to what Zimmer's going to do. He's got a more aggressive scheme that historically works well against offensive motion schemes, which is, more and more popular in the NFL. I think that's going to give Parsons a little bit more time to get to the quarterback and cause some chaos. So give me a number 11 here for Defensive Player of the Year. Next up, we have NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Aaron Rodgers sitting at plus 200. Burrow sitting at plus 220. Kirk Cousins sitting at plus 500. Anthony Richardson sitting at plus 750. Nick Chubb at plus 1500. And last but not least, Daniel Jones at plus 1800. We sticking on the board here? We going off the board?
I'm taking Burrow at plus 220. Anyone that's listened to our previews knows I'm pretty big on Cincinnati this year. And for that to happen, I think that gets Burrow the Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, I bounce back and forth on this a little bit. I'm going with Rodgers simply because there was so much hype going into Rodgers being on the Jets going into last season, and we only got one series out of that before that was ruined. Rodgers is also a little older, considerably older. And I think that if he plays close to the high level of play that we've seen out of Aaron Rodgers, I think it's his to lose. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers here, plus 200 for Comeback Player of the Year. Next up, we have the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Caleb Williams, plus 120. Jaden Daniels, plus 600. Marvin Harrison Jr., plus 650. Bo Nix, plus 1,100. Drake May, plus 1,400. And Malik Neighbors, plus 1,500. What you got?
Yeah, though I think the logical pick here is Caleb just because of situation. And I just, plus 120 didn't entertain me enough. Obviously, if I was really betting this, I'd probably bet Caleb. But I like Xavier Worthy at plus 1,900 to join that Chiefs offense and really be a threat from the beginning. I think he'll have huge numbers, and I like him for Rookie of the Year at plus 1,900.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting names on here. Jaden Daniels has looked pretty good in the preseason. Bo Nix is getting a lot of buzz in Denver right now about how well he's played, given that it's preseason. I like that plus 1,100 there. So if I were going to throw something down, I think this would be a sneak pick in Bo Nix, but it's kind of hard not to go against Caleb Williams here. He's got more talent surrounding him than anybody else here. Plus 120 is not a lot of juice. But if I've got gun to the head here, I'm going to go Caleb Williams for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Next up, we've got NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, Liatu Latu for the Colts, plus 400, Dallas Turner, plus 440, Jared Verse, plus 1,000, Byron Murphy the second, plus 1,200, Terrion Arnold, plus 1,400, and Quinyon Mitchell, plus 1,600.
I'm going with my Florida State guy. Give me Jared Verse at plus 1,000. I think he'll booster the Rams defensive front. I think he's a huge addition, and I actually expect a pretty big year from him.
Yep, we're actually aligned on this. I've got Verse here at plus 1,000 as well. Huge void on the D line with AD retiring. I think the Rams did a great job revamping that front. I think Verse can be in for a big season. I think Defensive Rookie of the Year is always a little bit of a crapshoot, but let's go big money here, plus 1,000, and go for Verse. Next up, we've got NFL Coach of the Year. We've got Jim Harbaugh and Matt Eberflus sitting at plus 1,000. Raheem Morris at plus 1,200. Matt LaFleur plus 1,300. DeMeco Ryans plus 1,400, as well as Shane Steichen at plus 1,400.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I saw this list that the guy that I immediately thought of was not one of the top odds. Give me MCDC at plus 2,500.
Okay, I kind of thought that's where you were going, but yeah, this was the top 6 pick. I feel like I have to double down here on my CJ Stroud pick and go with DeMeco Ryans. He performed extremely well last year, way above expectations for that team. If they continue to show strides of improvement, I like his odds, so I'm going to take DeMeco Ryans at plus 1,400. Last but not least here, we've got NFL Assistant Coach of the Year, which is a fun one. We've got Bobby Slowick at plus 900, as well as the Lions' Ben Johnson. Drew Petzing, plus 1,400 over in Arizona. Ryan Grubb, a new OC for the Seahawks, at plus 1,400. Shane Waldron sitting at plus 1,600. And the Falcons' Zach Robinson at plus 1,800. Where are you going, Jake?
I'm giving probably his last season as an assistant coach, but I thought that the last few years. But give me Ben Johnson at plus 900.
Okay, yeah, I bounced between Johnson and the guy I went with. I'm going to go with Ryan Grubb. His first year as Seattle's OC, I have them as a playoff team, which we're going to talk about here shortly. He's got a lot of weapons on that Seahawks offense. If they stay healthy, they could be one of the better offenses in the NFC. I like those plus 1,400 odds, so let's go with Ryan Grubb, first NFL Assistant Coach of the Year. All right, guys, it is time for us to jump into playoff predictions. We are going to start off with Jake's pick. Jake, let's kick things off here with the Ravens-Texans. Who you got?
Yeah, so I'm actually going with the road team to start it. I think Baltimore is going to be too much for Houston to handle in the first round of the playoffs, so I do like Baltimore to end up winning that game.
All right, Chargers-Jets.
Next, we got Chargers and Jets. I do like the Jets to win. I think Aaron coming back is a huge thing. San Diego, I think, is just good enough the Los Angeles Chargers are just good enough to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to be enough yet to win games. I do like Cincinnati. Miami's traveling to Cincinnati. Could be a potential cold game. Probably not as cold as Miami faced last year in the playoffs, but I do like Cincinnati in that one. Moving over to the NFC, give me the Rams to beat the Cowboys in Dallas's home field. That seems to be typical of what happens to them in the playoffs lately, and I do love the Rams this year. Eagles are going to be in Atlanta. I do like the Eagles to go and get a road win. They couldn't get it done on the road last year in Tampa, but I do think this year will be a little different. And then we got the NFC North matchup, Packers and Lions in Ford Field. Give me the Lions to win that one. So going back over to the AFC, you got the number 1 seed Chiefs, which would be coming off the bye, facing the Ravens. I do like the Chiefs in that one. And then Jets and Cincinnati. Give me Cincinnati to set up a Chiefs-Bengals AFC championship game. I'm actually going to take the Rams to go to San Francisco and beat the 49ers in their first round. Well, will be the Niners' first playoff game. And then the Eagles will be traveling to Ford Field. I like the Lions to clinch a berth in the NFC Championship game, which would be at Ford Field and might be the craziest setting in NFL football history. Chiefs Bengals to finish off the AFC. Anyone that's listened to any of our previews knows I'm big on Cincinnati this year. I really like the Bengals, so I'm going to take them to make the Super Bowl. And is it going to be a rematch with the Rams from a few years ago? No. Stafford comes into Ford Field and loses again, which might be the third time in 2 years if they lose week 1. I really love what the Lions have this year. I like how the schedule sets up. Almost every game is inside. It's perfect for us. And like I said, a home playoff game to go to the Super Bowl against Stafford. Good God, what a setting that would be. So that sets up for a Bengals-Lions Super Bowl. I'm actually going to shock the world here. I think this might be the year. I'm taking my team, the Lions, to win the Super Bowl. It's been a long time coming from 0-16, but I just think all of the pieces are in place. We still have our coordinators for what should be their final year. MCDC's done wonderful things. I just love everything this organization has done in the last few years, and I think it might finally be time.
Man, I mean, I hope for you it happens. That would be insane year. First Super Bowl in history for the Lions. Let's jump over to my predictions here. A lot of this stuff is going to look somewhat similar. One quick thing here to note: we've got the 6 games are flip flopped on the AFC NFC side, and the reason for that, for those who don't know, is that the games do reseed when they go into each one of the new rounds. Starting off here for me, I've got the Ravens at the Jets. I think Lamar and company is just going to be a little bit too much to handle for the Jets. So I've got the Ravens winning that one. Next up, we have the Dolphins and the Chiefs in what's going to be a rematch from the wild card last year. Hopefully it is a little warmer for that game, but I still think the same result is going to happen here. So I've got Kansas City getting that win. Next up, we've got the Colts traveling to Houston to play the Texans. I talked about it a good bit. I'm high on the Texans. This is the first step in the process for them to move forward. So I've got Houston winning this game to go to the next round to play the Chiefs. On the NFC side, as much as I hate to do this, history is history. I can't pick the Cowboys to get out of the divisional rounds. We went into this offseason talking about going all in, and then we sat on our hands. There's a lot about this team that is still frustrating. Our backfield specifically is rough. And it's until Dak shows me he can win playoff games, it's hard for me to pick them. So I think we're going to do what we usually do. We're going to win 11 to 12 games of the regular season and get a first round exit. So I've got the Rams beating the Cowboys in the first round. Next up, I've got the Falcons against the Eagles. Maybe a little bit of a surprise here, but I'm actually going to take Atlanta to beat Philly. Philly did not play well in the playoffs last year. I don't know that they're a better team this year than they were last year. Atlanta, on the other hand, did add quite a bit, and they've continued trying to add pieces as soon as the last couple weeks. So if Atlanta can stay healthy, they can keep Kirk upright, lean into that run game. I think Atlanta can make a little bit of noise. So I've got the Falcons beating the Eagles. Next up here, we've got the Seattle Seahawks against the Detroit Lions. I do really like this Seattle team. I think they might be able to shock some folks. Unfortunately, if they're running into Detroit and they are heading into Detroit, despite the fact that the Seahawks have won, I think, the last 6 games, and it may be a 7-game winning streak if they win the early season one. I think this is going to be a loss for the Seahawks. So I've got the Lions winning. Moving back over to the AFC, we've got a matchup of the Bengals versus the Ravens. Jake talked about it a good bit. We're both high on the Bengals this year. I do have the Bengals beating the Ravens in what is going to be a really fun matchup of the AFC North teams. Next up here, we have the Chiefs and Texans. Again, I'm big on Houston, but it's hard to pick against Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, and I think this offense is better this year than it was last year. So I am taking Kansas City to beat Houston and move on to the AFC Championship. On the NFC side of the equation, we've got the Niners playing the Rams, and Jake and I did not sync up on this before, but I also have LA beating the 49ers. We talked a good bit about this in the NFC West preview episode. I think the Rams are one of the more dangerous teams in the NFC, and I think they're flying a little bit under the radar right now. If that team can stay healthy, they are going to be very deadly. I would not want to play them. As I've picked the Cowboys to lose in the first round. Next game here, we've got the Falcons versus the Lions. I am taking Detroit to win that game. I think Detroit's just going to be too much for Atlanta. Another victory in Ford Field as the Lions head to the NFC Championship. Taking a look at the AFC Championship, we've got Burrow versus Mahomes. I went back and forth a lot on this. I think this game comes down to coaching, and when it comes down to coaching, the Chiefs are going to get the nod. So I have the Chiefs winning this game and moving on to the Super Bowl. On the NFC side of the equation, we've got the Lions playing the Rams. I hope this happens. What an NFC Championship game this would be to watch Stafford go back into Ford Field to try to beat the Lions again. Unfortunately for Stafford, I just don't see them coming out with this win. I would not be surprised if they do get the victory, but in this situation, I do have the Lions winning this game and moving to the Super Bowl. Here's where we're flip-flopping here, Jake. I can't go against Kansas City in this team. They have proven time and time again in the past 5 to 6 years that they are extremely difficult to get out of the playoffs once they're in this position. This game's in New Orleans. I think Detroit is going to have a tremendous amount of buzz and hype. I think a vast majority, if not all of the guys that are starting on Detroit's team have not been to a Super Bowl. The Chiefs, meanwhile, I think a lot of those guys obviously have a lot of experience in that, and I think that's going to matter. I think they're going to be able to kind of quell some of the distractions that could happen being in New Orleans. And as much as I'll be rooting for the Lions in this game, I just don't see the Chiefs losing this one. So I do have the Kansas City Chiefs coming out victorious and winning yet another Super Bowl and what will be their 3rd straight.
That would be one of the craziest Super Bowls of all time. Can you imagine all the trick plays and fake punts and just everything that would be going on? No one would probably even punt. MCDC's not punting, so that would be a crazy game.
No, and Andy Reid's going to be like, "Fine, let's go, bro." Like I have no doubt in my mind that is going to be a tremendously fun game to watch if this is what ends up happening. That's it for us, guys. Short episode. We are at the point where we are making picks. So next week, when we come back to you guys, we will be ready to get our spread picks going for week 1. Really appreciate everybody listening to all these preview episodes. A lot of work goes into this, and we greatly appreciate it. We just finished up our week 1 episode for NCAA. A ton of games on that. We had to pick 29 games between the top 25 teams and the Muncie 6-pack, which is one of the things that we talk about on the college episode. We also had a couple special guests. Both Scott and Carter, big Notre Dame fans, came to join us. So you guys are likely going to see those folks join on one of the NFL episodes later on in the year. We'll bring Taxis back, and you may see a couple new faces as well. But that is it for us. So the time has come. We're picking games next week, guys. Jake, you got any final thoughts here before we sign off?
No, that's it. Other than I really hope those playoff predictions come true. A Lions Super Bowl would be. I thought we were there last year, and it just wasn't there. But we're close. We're getting close.
One half is all it took. So, All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. As always, please like, share, comment, subscribe. We will be back to you guys next week with week 1 picks. It is time. If you guys play fantasy football, good luck with that. Make sure you're checking those injury reports. But that's it for us. So for the fine citizen, Mr. Jacob Workman, this is Reese Downing, TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition. Let's go. Week 1. Let's see you guys next week.
See you, everyone.